seen, not
Right.
being taken care of. I said when they get through with EFN their butts.
We need to say that. Welcome back to American Warrior Radio, right here on the Talk to Me station, AM 1300 WMEL. And let me tell you, our powerful signal reaches up into Volusia, over into Orange, and down into Indian River, and probably out on the ocean as well if
And
you're out
out
there on the
into
boat.
that ocean out there.
Exactly. And if you can't pick up our terrestrial radio signal, then you go online and you get on the phone right now and you call your friends or relatives that live in Nebraska or Montana or Illinois, and you say dial them up at 1300 WMEL.com. It's really that easy.
And that's AM radio.
That's right. This isn't just the internet. That you're listening to us live on 1300WMEL.com if you're on the internet. And we thank you so much for that. We hear from a lot of you and we appreciate the comments and encourage them actually. Especially if you have a particular issue. Let's say, Glenn, if somebody's living in the state of Indiana. Now, we know veterans law is not the same on a state level. The VA, it's supposed to be the same everywhere, but
Yeah.
on the state level, things change from state to state. But what do we always say? We encourage them to check out what benefits are available.
That's right. And most states have a county veteran service officer, or they have a veteran service officer that takes in several counties. It depends on where you live and how populous the counties are. Fortunately, in Florida, all 67 counties have a county service officer. But you want to see an accredited representative. What's your word that you
Credentialed?
Credentialed.
Well, it means that they've gone through updated training. All right,
and they continue to get updated training to continue their accreditation and credentialing. Otherwise, they lose it because they're not current. And you want somebody that's current, somebody that knows the law and knows how to apply it for you in the best way possible to make your case maximize its opportunity for approval for the service that you've provided for our country.
And again, you can do what the VA is encouraging everybody to do, and that's file your claims online through e-benefits. You can do it. But we have heard, I can't tell you how many hundreds, if not even thousands really, of times vets have made complaints that the e-benefit system doesn't allow them to submit all the information they think is relevant for a fully developed claim, FDC.
Oh my God, yes. I've seen clients who have, 10 inches thick of medical records. Now, it would take a long time. You can do it, I guess, but you can try to scan that in and then pray that all of it gets there on the other end of the pile. And I'm still old-fashioned. I still encourage you to seek out an accredited representative, such as a county veteran service officer, and submit the claim on paper, and do it with certified return receipt mail or priority mail, because you can track that and get a tracking number off the internet, and then keep that tracking number in case the VA says they never got it.
We didn't get it. Oh, yes, you did, and here's the date and time.
Yeah, and let me say one more thing about what Guerin opened up with. Just had a guy, I filed his claim 48 days ago. Well, hardly out of the mailroom, based on my knowledge. But,
exactly.
But anyway, he's in e-benefits, and he went in e-benefits a couple of times, and it didn't show receipt of his claim.
After 48 days.
Yeah, after 48 days. So I told him to call the 1-800-827-1000 number, and he did, and he sent me an email back and said, oh, they've got it.
Okay.
But it's not in e-benefits.
Yeah, so there again, people, the computers are only as good as the input they're given.
That's right, and that's one extra input the VA has to do when they receive a claim.
Right. So, and since we're on the topic of kind of individual benefits through the various states, one important benefit that I want to always stress, particularly this time of year, even though the deadline isn't for a few months, is this property tax exemption, Glenn. Here in Florida, how can you best describe it, and why should they file for it?
Well, property tax exemption, you have to file by 1 March of 2015 for it to be effective for your tax bill in 2015. Now, there's one exemption is for those veterans who are rated 10% to 90% service-connected disabled, and that's $5,000 off your tax bill, not off your tax bill,
Off your assessed value.
off your assessed value of your property. It's not off your tax bill.
Dang.
So yeah, really.
We'd all be getting refunds.
That's right.
Which
It just on average that saves you about $100 a year in actual bill.
which
money.
is real money, people.
That's real money. And then if you're rated 100%, you get a total exemption of your ad valorem tax.
Okay, so that's the important thing. Here in Florida, regardless of where you live, you mentioned there's 67 counties, and each of them has a county veteran service office.
That's correct.
If you're in Missouri or Oregon or wherever you might be, people, check out what your state veterans benefits are.
Yeah, let me emphasize again, good point. This is a state benefit that applies to Florida. Every state, I assure you, is different. So you're going to have to check with your veteran service people in the state you live in that you're a resident of and find out what benefits might be available to you to cut your tax bill on your property. One last thing is in Florida, there's a combat-related discount, and there's about 3 or 4 eligibility criteria. What I encourage you to do is call the county veteran service office, because they're going to have to be the ones to approve it before the property tax appraiser will award it. And it's a discount on top of that $5,000 that you have already gotten, being 10 to 90%. So you can and call them first, because go out there, I guarantee you're going to make 2 or 3 trips. Call them at 633-2012. That's 321-633-2012, and ask about the combat-related tax discount in Florida.
Exactly, and that number Glenn gave was your old office number. I'm sure that's ingrained in your head.
Yeah, I'll never lose that one.
So that's it. If you're here in Brevard County, if you're somewhere else in the state, look up the number. It's easy enough with the internet. Pretty much I'm thinking everybody has internet access now, Glenn.
Well, and yeah, if you're still using a phone book, don't go look for veteran under V to find the number for the county service office. You need to go to the name of your county, like Brevard County, and then look in the V's for the Veteran Service Office.
Good point. And for those of you that are listening anywhere else in the country, whether you're in Hawaii or California, please check out what your state veterans benefits are. And more than likely, they issue a magazine of some sort or an online edition of what we have here in Florida, the Veterans Benefits Guide.
Yeah, go online, and if you're not happy using the computer, find a friend and get them to help you go online.
And I want to encourage everybody, especially some of our more senior folks, our veterans and their spouses, go to the public libraries. They have classes. They will teach you how to use the internet. And it really is exciting, because even my 93-year-old grandfather took to it very easily. It's a good tool. Hey,
great.
Folks, I got a couple announcements. Now please listen up, because this is a call to action. The Deployed Troops Support Act of 2014, all right, we passed this bipartisan fashion last year, went to the Senate under the National Defense Authorization Act, and the senators, all Democrats, pulled out our pages. They removed this program, which had been approved in the House. I'm going to give it to you quick. It allows nonprofits like AVET Project to ship necessary and needed goods over to our troops in deployed lands, wherever they may be deployed. If there's space available on taxpayer-funded military transports, then this amendment to Title 10 USC Section 402 allows us to ship them without cost. Again, it's already in place if you want to help the folks in Zimbabwe or wherever. It's there. It'll go on our taxpayer-funded planes and get there through USAID. It's a State Department/DOD program called the Denton Program. Well, we've amended it, and we've added, which should have been done 50 years ago,
right,
Glenn, that we can use this same program, which doesn't cost a dime, it's already in place, to support our troops. That's why it's called the Deployed Troops Support Act of 2014. I need everybody on the other side of these speakers. That's you. I'm pointing right at you. All right? I need you to make a call to your senator. In Florida, it's who again?
That's Senator Marco Rubio or Senator Bill Nelson.
Yes, Rubio or Nelson, please make a phone call. Google their numbers, or the email, whatever. If you're living outside of Florida, please call your senators or email them and say support, or you should just say pass the NDAA, which contains the Deployed Troops Support Act. It's on page 518. You tell them to leave the bill that's on page 518 in the NDAA. All right, just remember Deployed Troops Support Act, page 518 of the NDAA. And call your senators. We've got to get this through this year. It's vital, because that's where a lot of the cost is in operating care package programs like AVET Project's EEB, Empowerment Equipment Boxes. And we need to help.
Speaking of costs, let me foot stomp again. This isn't costing any more taxpayer money. Those planes are already going to where they're going, and they're carrying sometimes free goodies for the civilians in the war zones and other places.
Yep.
And this is just opening the door for not-for-profits to put their gifts to the military troops that are deployed, and it doesn't cost a single more dime, because that plane is going there anyway.
If some guys and gals over in the DMZ and Korea need a refrigerator, we can use this program, the amended Denton program, to ship them that refrigerator they need. AVET Project needs your help to make this happen. Please call your senators.
Absolutely. Please call them.
Okay, so also I want to mention, does nobody out there like firearms? Because, you know,
yeah, really.
we've got a Kel-Tec RFB that we still have tickets available for. We're only raffling 250 of them. If you want one, please go to avetproject.org and click on the donate button. All right, click on the donate button and put $10 for one chance at a nearly $2,500 rifle. And in the comment, just put RFB or raffle. We'll know, and we'll send you your ticket, because we want to hold this drawing as soon as possible. Glenn, we've got so much more to talk about, and we're almost running out of time. I know that we wanted to talk about the choice card real quick, and here's why, folks. The VA has, in some fashion, decided to say, we're doing something about these overdue appointments. How do you say that? What am I saying?
Well, the backlog.
The backlog
for medical care.
For medical care. So they came out with this choice card program. Isn't it a good thing, Glenn?
Well, remains to be seen would be my response. You know, but I think when they get through with the if, and, or but rules and regulations that the VA will have to write and then implement to get this program really running, that it really remains to be seen that this is going to be a help to people who live 40 miles or more, or are transportation disadvantaged to get to VA health care. Right now, I'll tell you straight up, I have many doubts.
Well, here's the thing, folks. A longtime lead volunteer with AVET Project got his choice card. He's a veteran. God bless you. Love you. Steve, you're awesome. Vietnam vet. He's a Category 8. He won't mind me saying that. I'm not going to tell you his last name, but everybody knows him anyway. Steve got a choice card. Well, he's a Category 8, which means that he's just inside the door for any type of VA treatment, and he has co-pays and all that jazz. So he gets this letter. It says, Dear Veteran, dated December. It goes through all the different stuff about the choice card. Your choice card isn't closed. And Glenn, you and I spoke about this. Basically, they sent him the same thing that we've spoken about in the past. The 30 days, all right, and it just says if your VA medical center says it's going to be more than 30 days from your preferred date of treatment, or what was medically determined by your physician. What on earth does that mean, Glenn?
Well, to me that means, okay, you want another appointment in 3 weeks, and your physician says you don't need another appointment for 6 months. Well, 6 months is going to prevail.
Yeah, choice card doesn't apply then.
Yeah.
Now, if the physician truly knows that you need additional care, and he or she can't get you into their schedule, then by all rights, this choice card should fit the bill. But Glenn, we've had the program called Fee Basis all this while anyway.
Exactly, and the VA's always had the ability, when they can't meet your medical needs, if you're enrolled in using the VA for health care, to send you downtown and pay for it on what's called the Fee Basis program. So this looks good on paper, and it's a good way to go tell Congress, we look what we did to tackle the backlog. And okay.
But I have to foot stomp on this. If you are a veteran, just like Steve here that I'm talking about, and you got your choice card, let me just say, in this county, what did you estimate? Mims was probably the only geographically challenged area?
Mims Scottsmore is the only area, and I did look up Sebastian, because there are some people in Sebastian, and they should have gotten a letter already, because they're 43 miles from the clinic. So
okay, but this is a gentleman that lives right here in the city, about 10 miles away.
That's why Sebastian should already got something.
Right, but if you got your choice card and it comes in this 3-page deal with a little paper card, and by the way, the member ID should match your new and revised VA ID card. It should be the matching number. It says right on there, Veterans Choice Card, temporary program, which is scary enough. But then what does it say? It says call this 800 number to check to see if they're going to, it says the card does not provide pre-approval. Veterans may be liable for the cost of care that is not pre-approved. So I'm at a loss as to why this individual, bless his heart, why he even got this, because I'm afraid too many veterans are going to be getting this card and going, yoo-hoo, I can go see the doctor of my choice now. It's choice. It's choice card.
Let me double foot stomp that. Joe, take this card and run down and see your private doctor and expect that the VA is going to pay for it. It's got to be pre-approved by the VA if they pre-approve it.
Okay, so just be careful with the choice card. Follow the directions. You're either going to have to talk to your doc, and if your doc in the VA says, yeah, I can't take care of you and you need to be seen, or you need this special or what have you, whatever the circumstances are, you're going to have to deal with the choice card number. But do not think that is carte blanche. Wow, I can go make my appointments, because they're going to stick you with the bill.
Yeah, and I know that many of you out there, because of misinformation, when we had fee basis cards that were issued in this county, which we had the most in the state of Florida in this county many years ago now, but people would hear about, they'd get a fee basis card and they'd let them have like $100 a month or something without pre-approval. And they run down and get an operation and hand them the fee basis card, and the VA says, sorry about that, no pre-approval.
Yeah.
We didn't even approve the operation.
And of course they came into your office going, ah.
Well, of course. We did a lot of fee basis work back then.
Folks, we have to talk about this next issue because it's really a big one, and that's the Camp Lejeune situation with the water. I know that Congress passed the Caring for Camp Lejeune Families Act, Glenn, and I know this law is supposed to create health care through the VA for those families that were affected. Can you kind of give them a thumbnail sketch?
Well, yeah, there was some nasty chemicals that were found in the drinking water at Camp Lejeune, and they just altered the period, so it's even longer now, from August of '53 through December of '87. So they've gone back even earlier in recognition of when those chemicals contaminated the water. Some of them came from a dry cleaner that sat outside the fence that wasn't even part of the military. I would think they're bankrupt by now. But you've got to be a veteran who was discharged under conditions other than dishonorable. You must have served at Camp Lejeune for 30 days or more during the period August '53 through the end of 1987. And you must have a current disease and medical opinion that states the disease you have is a result of exposure to that contaminated water. And that's going to be the tough part about getting a claim. We're talking for service-connected disabilities here, and that's going to be the tough part, because you're going to have to do some research. You know, if I help people with these claims, I'm going to help them do some research to show what the contaminants were before you go see your doctor, and then have your doctor tie in your current problem with exposure to those contaminants in the drinking water.
Right, and there's some 15 conditions that they recognize being related to this contaminated water.
Yeah, those are esophageal cancer, breast cancer, kidney cancer, multiple myeloma, renal toxicity, female infertility, scleroderma, that's a skin condition, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, lung cancer, bladder cancer, leukemia, myelodysplastic syndrome, hepatic stenosis, miscarriage, and neurobehavioral effects. Now, let me say real quick, as we're getting close on time again.
Yes, always.
That if your family member was exposed to this water at Camp Lejeune,
Because they're living on base with you.
because they're living on base with you, exactly, then they have to have one of these 15 problems to even have a chance of getting the VA to pay for their health care. And it must be emphasized, the VA isn't going to provide the health care for the families. They're going to pay for it if you meet the criteria of exposure, and that would be spouses or children born to the veteran at Camp Lejeune.
Sure.
Those would be the two most likely candidates for this. And
the VA doesn't have to provide them with medical care, but it must cover their out-of-pocket expenses for those 15 conditions. One thing that I want to mention to you, if you were associated or on Camp Lejeune drinking the water during that 31-year period, 31 years, Glenn,
yeah,
the law provides no, underline that, no health benefits to reservists who might have trained at Lejeune but lacked official veteran status. And that, again, bothers me so much.
Sense.
It's like you are a reservist and you're doing your drill weekends or your annuals or whatever, and you're drinking the water and bathing in it just like everybody else, but it doesn't have any benefit to you.
Yeah, but it applies to your dependents.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy out there, so you want to check it out. And I'm just going to give you, again, I ask you to get the pen and paper if you know anybody. That's 31 years, and I don't care what branch of service. We all have a tendency to cycle through other people's bases, other branches' bases.
Yeah.
So you don't know, wouldn't have had to have been a Marine. You could have been Navy. You could have even been Air Force or Army. We've got Air Force guys getting called to Fort Hood that work weather, for crying out loud.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. You could have been on temporary duty to Camp Lejeune, or you could have been assigned there from another branch of service.
So write this down, please. You know the whole WWW thing. CL family members. That's CL family members, as in Camp Lejeune. CL family members .fsc Foxtrot Sierra Charlie .va.gov. CL family members .fsc.va.gov, and you get some great information there. It's just one of those issues that we have to keep bringing up, because if we don't get the word out, just like the PDBR,
yeah.
All right, Physical Disability Board of Review, if we didn't help to get the word out, things don't move forward.
Yeah, exactly. And quickly, the key first part of this whole thing is the veterans got to be enrolled in VA health care.
Exactly.
And if you're divorced, sorry, you don't qualify.
Yep, and if you're a reservist or guardsman, there's going to be some unhappy people there. But Glenn, we always want to cover this at the end of the program, especially during the holiday time here.
Especially during the holiday time. If you're a veteran and you're experiencing crises, contemplating suicide, you need to call 1-800-273-8255. Press 1. That's 1-800-273-8255. Press 1, and you can also find this number on the VA website, va.gov. And
Happy New Year, everybody, and
Happy New Year, and please do not forget, thank a vet.